It's nice and warm in Toronto. All right. We also have Sean from, I believe he is in Northern Ontario, Timmins, possibly. All right. Good stuff. We're going to get cracking. Welcome, everybody. Tonight is the night where we have a lot of changes happened recently in Canadian real estate. Interest rates are a bit lower. And we have specialists from Windsor, Toronto, possibly in Calgary or Edmonton, as well as from the West Coast. But we will see as we go along, though. Just to let you know, all information we provide is for information education purposes only. Make sure you get a proper advice from licensed professionals only. All we do is express our opinion. And all investments carry risk. Just be aware of it. Most of you are aware of it, but just thought I should let you know. So we have been teaching, investing, helping investors for a very long time. It's fun. We learn from each other. There's no such thing that we know it all. That's why we have so many different experts, different opinions, and it's never too late to learn. And every day is a good day to learn. And some of it, if you can implement it, that makes a good chunk of money. One request for all of you, those who are not member or have not volunteered your time, or you'd like to volunteer yourself during this difficult time, my strongest recommendation, which I like, is Habitat of Canada. That is something which is very close to our real estate investors across Canada. You can help build a home on the weekend if you like. You can also pick up the material for buildings, which will next to nothing, pennies on a dollar. If you have a leftover material from your construction site, you can donate it and get a tax receipt. So don't just throw it in the garbage. And they're also looking for corporate sponsors from time to time. Just Google the word, and it is a great place to go and you feel good about it, and also, if possible, if you can donate some time to it, if you're capable of it, please. And second request I have for, if you can, a lot of Canadians are going through a very difficult time. Even if you can spare some food for Food Bank of Canada, anywhere in Canada, doesn't matter. Whatever you can, either you can donate time or food or money. Please help the fellow Canadians to make sure that they enjoy a good Christmas at the same time, just like all of us. So what's happening in Canada? Just one snapshot. What is super hot and what is not super hot? Super hot is Quebec City, Winnipeg, Regina. And what is not, which is pretty cold, is again Toronto, GTA, Vancouver, and Hamilton. The rest of Canada seems to be good. It seems like we are okay with it. Montreal, all we talk about is major cities across Canada. But there are a lot of opportunities out there. If you're looking for a good cash flow, Windsor could be a good choice. Windsor is a very good choice for a positive cash flow, but don't expect a huge appreciation. But you could have good cash flow for, let's say you want to invest for the next 10, 20 years, and you're looking for X amount of money, and the return on investment could be pretty good. So talk to Rick Rose. You can text him right now. You can put on Q&A. He will be happy to question and answer with you on Q&A altogether. So what is happening with the condo market? Shocking that in condos in Halifax are becoming more expensive than Toronto. What? Halifax prices have gone almost double in 2 years. And compared to Toronto, incredible. Who would ever thought in Maritimes, in Halifax, the condo will double its value in 2 years? It's the facts. Check it out. And again, some of them may or may not be making sense when it comes to cash flow. If you're an investor looking for a cash flow, but in Toronto, Vancouver, condo market is suffering like crazy, so nobody's building anymore. The new condos are selling like 100 a year or 100 a month or even less, and it's difficult as we speak, though. So this is the hottest topic: power sales, foreclosures. They are gone crazy, 639% up in 1 year. Why? speculators, and people overextended themselves. Real estate is not cheap; it's very expensive, and more or less these things are happening in major cities like Toronto, Hamilton. Even it has the ripple effect all the way. Even though Ottawa has recovered quite a bit, but you can still feel it all along in the Golden Horseshoe, even London, Ontario. I believe that even the effect is in Windsor, but as not as bad as Toronto. So what can we expect in 2026? We don't know yet, but we will see. The numbers are increasing, and it is increasing dramatically. Terry, are you here tonight? Terry Wallman? It's not. Uh, Terry Wallman. Hoping he can join us tonight. But anyway, we're going to talk about what exactly happened with power sale process. Why this process is so fast. I'm just going to go through simple legal terminology for the simplicity of it so most of you can understand it. Under the Mortgage Act in Ontario, most of people have it wrong. You only have to be only 15 days behind. How many days? Only 15 days before the power sale can trigger in. That's the law of the land. And then they give you 35 to 45 days, mostly 45 days. If there is no power of sale clause written in the mortgage document, then you could be 3 months behind. How many payments? 3 months behind or 45 days. Then you get 45 notice. But there's not a single mortgage, in my opinion, in Ontario where they don't have power sale clause. Okay, I just want to make sure that we are already great. Thank you. So make sure that everybody understand it. Power sale is not something a lot of people talk about it. This is the law of the land. It is important for you to understand it. We have two lawyers online here, and we also have mortgage broker, David Grossman. David, are you in there? David?
Yes, I'm here. Hello. Yeah, I'm here. Hello.
You want to give me any feedback on delinquency of power sale?
Well, yeah. So as you mentioned, there's a period of a couple of weeks, and after a couple of weeks, you can serve a statement of claim. And then there's about 6 weeks where people have an opportunity to remedy the situation. So Terry is really your guy for that because he's involved in that every day as both a lender and a lawyer. Um, Fortunately, most of the loans I arrange, they don't go that way. And if they do, I don't get too many complaints. I don't hear about it. Um, so I'm not intimately involved in that end. But yes, there's the other thing to note is if you're a borrower, you never want to get to that stage because you're also going to be ultimately responsible for paying all the legal fees of the lender. They'll pay them initially to their lawyer, but they're just going to tack them on to the amount that's owing, including other fees. Like they could charge you, $100 a day to maintain the property. All kinds of fees can be put in there. So you definitely, as a borrower, don't want to get to that stage, but it happens sometimes, and that's the way it goes.
Randy Goodman, how often do you see power sale listings around you? Randy?
Well, they're online all the time.
And do you think,
They're
would you suggest anybody to buy power sale properties?
when they're on MLS, they're really not a sale.
You're
They're
right.
still trying to get market price. So, and when it goes to power of sale, they have to put it on MLS. So, in order to get the most exposure, et cetera, et cetera. So, I personally don't care whether it says power of sale or not, because to me it's just a sale. It's
Perfect. You're
actually
right.
more of a pain in the tush because you have to go through hoops to try to get something to happen.
Excellent. Jyoti?
Uh, the power of sale process is not as lengthy as people may think it is. And the downside of buying from a power of sale power of sale property is that everything is sold as is. you don't really have the right to demand that this should be fixed and that should be fixed. You're buying the property as is. And even the lawyer is not really able to send in any requisitions that we need this title search and we need, these liens or whatever discharged. So basically, you're buying the property as is. Of course, the mortgage is going to be discharged. That, of course, is a given.
Rick Rose, you want to add something to it?
Just to follow up with what David was saying, in Ontario, we have actually two ways of taking back a property. We have the power of sale and foreclosure. The reason the banks go more with the power of sale is because as we said there, all of the fees keep getting tacked on, tacked on. With a foreclosure, the bank takes over and basically takes most of the responsibility.
Excellent. Leonard, you want to add anything to it? Yes, not. All right, we're going to move forward. I'm going to just share with you. This is what's happening in power sale in GTA as well as all across Canada. I'm sorry, this is totally different. I'm sorry, this is the happiness in the fam. I'm sorry, this is an old, not a good one. This is where people are more happier. I just want to share something else with you. So the number of power sales are increasing dramatically, as I mentioned earlier. That has gone up by 639% or 640% or whatever the amount is, but it is growing, and it's going to continue growing for a while to come unless the interest rates come down or something happens. So here is a situation for most of you if you're looking into something which you think, hey, that could be a good deal. This is a hotel in Guelph, Ontario. There are 64 fully furnished apartment suites. It's looking for $12 million. 106 Garden Street in Guelph, Ontario. It's about $188,000 per door. Now, if you look at the numbers, if you can make this number work for you, it is a under power sale. So more or less, the lender have done is obtain maybe possibly 3 different AAC appraisals, and based upon the appraisal value, this is what it is. It's not MLS, by the way. So when the power sale happen, when the economy turns a turn, all kind of people get hurt. In my opinion, this could be an opportunity for somebody who should look into it, do further due diligence, see if the rents make sense, if this place is not a heritage building, and if there's enough parking. I believe there are about 12 parking spots only in it. It's all bachelors. It's in the downtown. Anybody interested in it, have a look at it. Just thought I'd just share information with you. So we're going to talk about the interest rates. Interest rates have come down quite a bit comparatively. And what we're expecting for next year, are the different banks have different expectations. Some banks are saying, hey, interest rate is going to go high. Other banks are saying that it's going to stay hold. BMO saying it's going to cut to 2%. For us to all make all sense, we're going to bring our guest speaker, David Grossman. David, it's all yours. The question is, real rates have now come down by 1% over the past 1 year. Is it a good time to jump on the bandwagon?
Sure. Okay. Thanks very much, Navtaj. Yeah, great topic. I'll just mention to you, by the way, Jerry said he's in and he needs to be upgraded. So, okay. Yeah, there was a really a good Canadian jobs report in the last few days indicating that there's a lot of new jobs. So there's, some talk about the economy starting to warm up a little bit. And as a result, the Bank of Canada and the Bay Street are saying that we've likely reached the bottom. So yeah, it's now's the time. I mean, if you've been waiting for mortgage rates to come down, you can get rates, around 4%, sometimes higher, sometimes lower, sometimes close to 3.5%, depending if it's a purchase or a refinance, or if it's an insured purchase, you always get better pricing. if it's an insured purchase, and that means you have less than 20% down on an insured purchase. So rates are great. Absolutely, it's time to jump on the bandwagon.
Would you suggest people to renew the rates now or later, or just go for short-term or long-term basis?
Well, when there's a significant change in your situation, I was on a discussion board the other day, and everyone was saying, well, should I renew look at refinancing now or redoing my mortgage now? And I said, well, it's very simple. You just ask your lender, what's the cost to pay out the mortgage? And they'll tell you. Um, because sometimes it's hard to know exactly what it is. Each lender does their calculations a little bit differently. And so you simply find out what's the story. Now, if you do break your mortgage early, you got to remember that you're gonna have to requalify again. Whereas if you wait till the renewal, like National Bank, for example, National Bank in the last 6 months, it's opened. So you can call them and do an early renewal. So if you do an early renewal, you don't have to requalify all over again. But it's also maybe a good time for people to consolidate their debts. If they have higher interest debts, secured or unsecured. It's good time to do that now.
Final question for you. Would Canada gonna introduce just like US 50-year amortization period soon?
I'm not aware of 50-year amortizations coming up anytime soon. But, if you're talking especially with a bank, most banks are doing maximum 35, 30. I've heard of some 35, but we're pretty conservative here in Canada, and it's helped us avoid the massive um, downturns in the market because of the conservative lending and upheaval in the market. So we have that to be thankful for. So the lending practices are more conservative, but when you consider that you can still get buy a property with as little as 5% down if it's under $500,000 purchase price, or more than 5% if it's above 500. It's pretty amazing. So the government does that. That's the CMHC or one of the insurers insure the mortgages, because nobody would ever do that. People call me sometimes and they say, look, I'm not qualifying through a bank. I only have 5% down, but I don't qualify. Can you get me a private mortgage? No, private lenders don't lend to 95%. So the government has already designed these programs to help Canadians get into homes. So the programs are there. There's good incentives for first-time buyers, because normally with less than 20% down, the maximum amortization is 25 years. But if you're a first-time buyer, you can get up to 30-year amortizations. You get some rebate on the Ontario land transfer tax. You can get co-signers to help you, or guarantors to help you. You can have a secondary suite, or even more than a secondary suite if you want to take on being a landlord. And lots of options, and we have some great realtors. I know I'm looking at them, that are part of our panel, who will help you. I know Randy Goodman, Rick Rose, and I'm not sure who else. I apologize. Is real estate agent, but got a lot of great resources here in the group, and definitely time to jump.
Excellent. Thank you, David. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Once again, David Grossman, David, rockyourmortgage.ca. That's the website for David. And feel free to ask him, and he'll post his contact information on the chat once again. Thank you, David. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Navtash. Thank you.
So we're going to move into the next situation. This is a little litigation. Now, this is very common nowadays. People have signed up the document, and now they are saying, can I walk away from a deal? So this is a verdict from one of the situation where a gentleman signed a piece of paper, and I think there was some changes for us to enlighten exactly, what when it happened when you walk away from a signed deal. Make sure your deal is signed properly. That's the key. So to enlighten us all, Jyoti is gonna be Jyoti, who's the attorney from India, attorney from UK and Canada, the very experienced, respectable attorney or lawyer, real estate lawyer across Canada. So she's going to be enlightening us on this scenario. What happened when somebody want to walk away from a deal? Can you really walk away from a deal? Or what happened if the deal is not properly made? Is it under contract law? Jyoti, is all yours, my friend.
Thank you, Navtaj. Thank you for the wonderful introduction, as usual. Now, I know there was a landmark case of Ali versus Patel, where the buyers were able to walk out of a signed agreement of purchase and sale. There was no condition, but yet they were able to walk out of it. The reason being, there was an addition of Schedule B, which was not initialed by the buyers. The sellers asked the buyers to initial, but it was overlooked. So what the court ruled was that there was no binding contract. On the contrary, it was a counter offer versus acceptance. Now, the exact scenario, the timeline of events is as follows. On June 5th, 2023, the buyer submitted an unconditional offer to purchase the seller's property. And on June 6, 2023, the seller's agent emailed the signed offer back to the buyer, noting the inclusion of Schedule B. The email requested the buyer to initial Schedule B and the first page of the agreement. However, Schedule B was not initially attached and was sent in a follow-up email shortly after. On June 7th, 2023, so in less than 2 days after signing a firm offer or agreement of purchase and sale, the buyers informed the seller that they could not proceed with the transaction and sent a mutual release, which the seller did not sign. However, the seller had to relist the property and sold it for $25,000 less than the original offer. The seller sought summary judgment for the buyer's $50,000 deposit, arguing that a binding agreement existed. But the court ruled that the inclusion of Schedule B constituted a counteroffer, which the buyer did not accept. As a result, no binding agreement was formed. So basically, everything has to be signed, sealed, all the little details have to be initialed. Otherwise, if those details are not initial, it means that there is no binding contract. And it means that there is a counteroffer and it's not an acceptance of the full agreement of purchase and sale. What is the significance of additional terms? The seller's insistence on including Schedule B indicated that its terms were essential to the agreement. These terms were not incidental, but were deemed significant enough to alter the original offer, further supporting the court's ruling. So the court rejected the seller's argument that a binding agreement was formed without Schedule B, emphasizing that the omission was inadvertent. The follow-up email clearly indicated the need for the buyer to acknowledge Schedule B. Now, what are the implications of this landmark decision? It has several implications for real estate transactions. Basically, anybody entering or signing an agreement of purchase and sale has to ensure that all terms are finalized and everything, all the details are initial by both the parties. If the details are not initial, it means that one of the parties who is not initial is not in agreement with that. And of course, if there is any doubt, you must seek the advice of an experienced real estate lawyer. So basically, Ali versus Patel is consistent with other cases involving contract formation. For example, courts have consistently ruled that any alteration to an offer constitutes a counteroffer, requiring explicit acceptance. We can see a clear pattern in how courts handle disputes over additional terms in contracts with this particular ruling. And it is a reminder of the importance of mutual agreement and clear documentation in real estate transactions. So this is a lesson or a landmark ruling that everybody has to keep in mind. Everybody who is interested or who is going to sign an agreement of purchase and sale, whether as a buyer or a seller, should make sure that everything is initialed by both the parties. If there is any doubt, please contact a real estate lawyer.
Thank
I
you,
hope this
Jyoti.
was helpful.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jyoti. Appreciate it.
You're,
Now we're
you're
going to
very welcome.
move forward to the most critical thing. Can we transfer our principal residence to a corporation? And for us to enlighten that, we're going to bring our guest speaker. Sorry.
Hey, Navtesh.
Hey, here he is.
Yeah,
Okay,
can you
hook
hear
it
me?
up. It's all yours, my friend.
I'm assuming you can hear me.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Great. Good to see everybody tonight. Yeah, transferring property, principal residence into a corporation. Actually, before I talk about that, I just jumped on when you guys were talking about the power of sale, and I just want to add some commentary. I'm going through a power of sale I'm trying to purchase a property through a power of sale. And the interesting thing is the first mortgage they're not party to me. They initiated the power of sale, but instead of selling the property themselves, they opted to go through a receiver. So, and the reason they opted to go through a receiver was to ensure that there was no litigation from the original owner. So it's a very interesting process. So just a little tidbit: when a property does go power of sale, they do have the option of going through a receiver, and then that entire transaction is kind of dictated not only by the receiver, but the receiver continues to go back to the court to get instruction to further the process along. So it's a very interesting process.
Is that a
Anyway,
commercial property?
It's a 56 unit development, residential.
Yeah, just to make to the point, majority of the commercial properties, whether shopping centers, medical suites, even developments, the lender prefer to go through the route through a trustee, and it more or less protect all the parties, and then there's no dispute later on. That's great. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, in simple terms, if you buy the property through the receiver, you get clean title and nobody can come after you, or at least that's the way I understand it, and that's the way it's proceeding. Anyway, topic of the day: transferring principal residence into a corporation. Don't do it. How's that being very specific? The reason we don't want to do it, there's two reasons why you don't want to do it. One, you can a corporation does not get a principal residence exemption. Okay, so if the property's in the corporation, you can't apply the principal residence exemption. That's one. The other reason why you don't want to do it is if you're using if you did transfer the house into a corporation, if you use any corporate asset personally, then we have taxable benefits attached to those. And it would literally be based on the fair market value of the house times the CRA tax rate. And they adjust the tax rate each quarter. So, for example, if you did move your $1 million principal residence exemption, if you did move your $1 million principal residence into a corp, you've now, regardless of the mortgage, you've got $1 million house times, let's say, the CRA tax rate of 5% on average for the year. You got to put $50,000 on your personal tax return as a taxable benefit for using a corporate asset personally. So we do not see that very often. Now, there is something called Section 85 that I want to touch on. Many of you may have heard of it. And the easiest way to describe when we use Section 85, every asset you own, think of it this way, has a fair market value and an adjusted cost base. Your house, your car, your real estate, it has an adjusted cost base, which is basically, your purchase price, your land transfer tax, your legal costs, any capital improvements. And then we have the fair market value. When we transact, certainly on a non-arm's length basis, between ourselves, between our corporations, between our family members, we have to transact at fair market value, regardless of selling a property to a loved one for $1. That can be done legally, but from a tax perspective, we always have to deal with it at fair market value. Section 85 allows us to move the asset at its cost base. That's the easiest way to describe it. So even though we're supposed to be using fair market value with these transactions that are non-arm's length or just a normal sale to a third party, Section 85 allows us to move the asset at the cost base, which then defers any tax. So it's a tool that we use a lot. We'll use it in situations if we wanted to move a rental property. Let's say somebody owned a rental property personally, and for whatever reason we want to move it into a corporation. We would use Section 85 to move it in at the cost base instead of dealing with fair market value, which would trigger tax. We also use Section 85 a lot in family trusts, where some may know we put assets in family trusts. There's a deemed disposition after 21 years. So to first of all move the asset into the trust, we can use Section 85 to avoid a taxable event. After 21 years, to avoid that deemed disposition, sometimes we pull the assets out of the trust, and again, we use Section 85 to defer any tax. So Section 85, again, we're just, instead of dealing with fair market value, we get to move the asset in at its cost base. We're deferring tax. We're not saving tax, okay? So, I'm more of somebody who likes to save tax. Deferring tax just means sooner or later we need to pay it. But it is a tool we use. It's a very active tool. And if you want to learn more, just Google Section 85 rollovers and you get a lot of information. But the simplest way to think of it is that every asset has a fair market value and an adjusted cost base. And we use Section 85 to move those assets around at its cost base without triggering a sale. So that's my comments.
Great. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate it. I understand you are at somewhere for dinner
Yep.
tonight.
Yep.
All
Thank
the
you.
best, and we'll definitely speak later. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Moving forward, we're going to move to Ernie. Are you here? Ernie Gardy? Well, sales are down in Calgary. Prices are also kind of down. As you can tell, inventory is up quite a bit. As I mentioned in the very first slide, that is Calgary real estate. I believe Ernie is supposed to join us tonight, but unfortunately he might be busy. Those who want to get in touch, Ernie Gardy, you've got a phone at erniegardy.com. He's one of the top-notch realtor and also an apprentice. He took over education in 2005, I believe. He's been in business for 45 years. It's a great guy to deal with anytime you're dealing with a real estate transaction, especially in Calgary. So GTA is a tough market. Sales are down, prices are lower, inventory is up, and we're going to talk about it. How we take advantage of it. And to bring it in, we're going to bring my sister, and she is the #1 best-selling international selling author and one of the top-notch real estate broker. Known her for many, many years. Here she is, Randy Goodman. Randy, it's all yours, my friend.
Thank you so much, my brother. And thank you for having me on here. I'm excited to share with everybody tonight. Sorry I'm not on camera tonight. So we're going to talk about what are the new risks for landlords under Ontario's drug activity law. So I'm going to walk you through the new risks landlords face under this new legislation. So this law, the Measures Respecting Premises with Illegal Drug Activity Act, Part of Bill 10, 2024, introduces new offenses, major penalties, and powerful enforcement tools that directly affect both residential and commercial landlords. Okay, the Act creates two main offenses relevant to landlords. One, knowingly permitting a property to be used for a prescribed offense. These are serious drug-related crimes, with the final list coming through regulation. Two, knowingly receiving or possessing the proceeds of a prescribed offense. This includes rent payments, which create significant exposure for landlords. For the first offense, there is a defense if a landlord can prove they took reasonable measures to prevent illegal drug activity. However, for the proceeds offense, there is no reasonable measures defense, meaning even unknowingly receiving rent tied to illegal activity can trigger penalties. The law applies to individuals, corporations, directors, property managers, and owners. So penalties under the Act are substantial and apply to both offenses. Individuals, the fines can be up to $50,000 and up to 1 year in jail. Corporations, fines up to $500,000. Continuing offenses, up to $10,000 per day for individuals and up to $100,000 per day for corporations. And in addition, police are given expanded powers, including the ability to close or restrict access to a unit or building, remove occupants, seize property, and do so without the standard eviction process. For landlords and investors, these enforcement actions can mean loss of rent, vacancies, legal expenses, insurance complications, and reputational damage. This matters to investors because the landlord must prove they took reasonable measures, so the burden's on us. Rent tied to illegal activity could trigger penalties even without wrongdoing. Police closures can interrupt revenue and affect valuations. Insurance companies may adjust premiums or deny coverage after enforcement actions. In short, the compliance risk and operational risk for landlords has increased significantly. Now, because the law does not define reasonable measures, landlords should err on the side of thoroughness. So, legal guidance suggests that reasonable measures could include, and of course, you should always reach out to Jyoti or whoever you have for legal counsel. Tight tenant screening with documentation, strong lease clauses banning illegal activity, clear inspection rights, regular and documented inspections, prompt response to complaints, property security measures, maintaining detailed logs of conversations, notices, and actions taken. If enforcement occurs, your records will determine your liability. So this is very important to take care of. To mitigate risk under the new law, landlords and investors should update leases. So add drug activity clauses, proceeds of crime clauses, inspection rights, and fast termination options. Strengthen tenant screening. Document every step to show due diligence. Implement a property management response plan. So have a clear protocol for complaints, investigations, and communication with police. Increase documentation and record keeping. This is essential for establishing the reasonable measures defense. Review insurance policies. So check whether closures or enforcement actions are covered. Train staff and managers if you have somebody managing your property. Everyone involved in the property should understand the new requirements and documentation standards. So we're still waiting for the government's list of, quote, prescribed offenses, detailed regulations, early enforcement cases that clarify what courts consider reasonable, insurance industry responses, These will determine how aggressively the law is enforced. So, in summary, Ontario's new drug activity law significantly increases risk for landlords. These penalties are high, and the police powers are strong, and the burden of proof rests heavily on the landlords, especially when it comes to showing that reasonable measures were taken or when rent is later tied to illegal activity. By updating leases, improving screening, tightening management protocols, and documenting everything, we can reduce exposure and protect both our properties and our investors. And that's my topic for tonight. Thank
All
you.
right. I want to have a little bit of feedback from you. What is happening in Toronto?
Sorry?
What is happening in Toronto market?
I actually didn't
Okay, no
prepare
worry.
anything
No
on that.
problem. It's all good.
Sorry.
All good. No worry. All right. Thank you so much, Randy. Once again, it's Randy Goodman, #1 real estate broker in Canada. We also have Leonard. We also have Rick Rose from Windsor. And we have people from all across different parts of the world. Now, we're going to talk about something else. A lot of people don't want to talk about it, but I'd like to show you what is happening in Vancouver. Just to take a quick thing. Vancouver market, the sales are down. Prices are, back to 2025, 3. Inventory is high. And having said that, just want to show you some of the brutality of this so-called when slump happens. So this piece of property, I'm sorry, #1 is in Gabriola. This is a beautiful piece of property, and the property got the people lost about 304, let's say $400,000. Beautiful piece of property on the ocean front. And usually these type of properties don't go under, but again, this is all distressed sales all across Canada. This is like a little bit on the high end. How about this one in Victoria? Just want to share with you. Come on. This is in Victoria, by the way. This piece of property, again, they paid 3.8 million and they lost over about 1.1 million plus. They listed many times, slashed the price once, twice, 3 times. Again, anybody who have bought in the peak of this boom, February, March, April 2022, they may not be getting the price. There you can be going denial, but whatever it is, this is what is happening in the Western Canada. Halifax is a different ball game. Everything is up. Sales are up, prices are up, so is the inventory. So some of the highest appreciation we have in the last 30 years is in Halifax, which is 460% equity gain. That's a huge number, by the way. Is this market sustainable? We shall see. As we speak, Halifax is booming, just like Quebec and so on. Now, moving forward to this is something in Waterloo Bloodbath. Somebody bought this condo for 500, 5.25, 525. Recently got sold on October 20th. What's the loss? Almost half price. They paid 525. It got sold for 265. Oh my Lord. When people say Waterloo was safe, maybe not. Again, 50% gone. Welcome to condo market in Waterloo. This is in Woodstock, by the way. That is close to London, Ontario. They paid 1.24, 46% loss. Equity is gone. Is that huge? Yes, it is. Especially for if they happen to be first-time home buyer, and it says like $1.25 million house sold for practically half the price, 46% plus all the expenses. Not a very good situation, but that's what it is right now as we speak. Another thing I'd like to share with you, the next one, this is in Toronto. Somebody bought a condo property. Sorry, somebody bought a renovation, hoping they can do it nicely, and they paid again March 2022. They paid 2.1 million for it, and they tried it. It was listed for 800,000, by the way. It got sold. Sold for what? 1.3 million. So the owner or the previous renovator, investor, or whoever it was, have to eat about 800,000 plus loss. That's huge. This is a good area, by the way. I think when this house is finished, it will bring good money. But whoever got it for 1.3 is a good deal. Anybody have any opinion on it? Leonard? Leonard? Sure, you can. Why you're not able to speak? Leonard, can you speak? I guess his mic is on. I can't. Anyway, this is one of the deal in Toronto. Next thing I'd like to dig is about Ajax. This is huge. They bought this piece of property for 2.3 million in September, and it has lost over 1.1 million. That's a lot of money. No matter which way you look at it, it is what it is. It is supposedly they're saying well, it's a 3,000 square feet, but again, we got some different feedback from people around the area. They're saying that they're including the basement square footage in it. That's a smaller house, but regardless, that's a huge loss. It's a great loss even for the lender. By the way, next thing I also want to talk about. Oh boy, no, this one. This is another one in Niagara Falls, by the way. This is horrible. They paid 580. They sold for 205. Oh my lord, this is almost like $400,000 loss. It's a tear down. It's more or less I would say, cost of the lot only. And this is 65%. Yike. That's a lot of money. This is again in Liberty Village. It's becoming like a zoo now. Too many condos. They paid 305 in 10 years ago. They recently just sold it in October for 335. It seems like they didn't get much of appreciation. All they most probably got is a bit of equity built. They paid on the mortgage. But that is the real estate as we speak, the distressed real estate though. Leonard, you want to share something quickly? Leonard, try it again. Leonard, you're not on the line. Rick, you like to add something tonight? Rick Rose.
It almost makes you cry.
Okay.
But the big point is, as was said before, interest rates have come down. You asked, is this a good time to buy? I think one more perspective to that is not only have interest rates come down, and which is, excellent, but the thing is prices have come down. So if it's like a double whammy in a good way. So if you're actually thinking of buying, not only the interest rates come down, prices have come down. So now is just an excellent time to buy either personal residence or an investment property.
You're right. As long as the number makes sense. But there are a couple of things I suggest anybody who's interested in buying any kind of real estate, don't rush into it. Number two, make sure to get on proper due diligence. Get at least once or two AIC appraisals. Get 2 home inspections done, period. There's no big rush. There's nothing is falling. And there are plenty of great deals out there. work with a reputable realtor. If you're looking for a wholesale deal, please contact us. We have wholesale deals all across Canada. What we do is we co-wholesale them. We charge a small fee on top of it, but we say, hey, this is the deal. Do your full due diligence. In this business, you don't trust anybody except your own due diligence. Regardless, if you're working with a realtor, yes, they're licensed, they're bona fide. They're going to sell a product which is listed on MLS or off the market, but the chances are you are still going to be treated fairly, period. There's not a great market. Talking about power of sale, there's one question, Jerry brought it in about selling properties through a trustee. That is very common, and this is very common in the bankruptcy. When people go through insolvency or bankruptcy, the lender does not want to do a foreclosure or power of sale. Even they don't want to go through another procedure, which could be in the form of a share of sale or so on. Just to be on the safe side, these corporate lenders or large lenders want to keep their nose super clean, and they go through the process. And by going through a bankruptcy or trustee, every single step is taken and approved by the judge. Once that sale took place, it takes forever, by the way. Vladimir, are you there?
Yes,
Vladimir?
sir.
All right. So you have gone through one successful sale, other one not that successful, but we wasted about 1.5, 2 years time to go through a process which is trustee sale.
Yeah. So actually, we're saying we always make money on a buy, and in that case, it was really great deal because it was commercial residential. It has 5 commercial and 32 residential, and it has like also a land, like 3 partial of land, and all of it. It's next to Edmonton. We bought it for 1.4 million. So here in Toronto, you can buy nice condo, or you can buy plaza in Alberta. So it was amazing. We have some challenges with it now because we have some fire with it, but we're dealing with it. But the main thing is, if I remember, I want to share one thing, if you, Uncle.
Sure.
So when we get this deal, it's really interesting. The first question what realtor asked, he asked us, how you get this deal? So this was really, really interesting because deal like that exists, but probably, Naftash, I don't know how you get it, but maybe you can share with us.
Well, definitely. All these type of deals are super complex. They are not for rookies. They are for professionals. Those who have a lot of patience, understanding, and a lot of education behind them. We were also, it's gonna switch for 1 second and you're gonna come back to this deal. We were also working on another deal in Milton. I believe we worked on this deal for 2 years or maybe 3 years.
Yeah.
They put $150,000 deposit on it. And this deal was supposed to be a deal of the century, where we are supposed to get this deal for $4 or $5 million. And we had a clue that it's worth about $42 million. Worked on it, then something happened. They declined our deal. They didn't respond back to us. They don't want to respond to it, but they held on to our deposit. Then they came back. They said, no, 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 we want 22 million for it. Whoa. And we said, okay, you want 22 million. We gone back and forth and negotiating for 18 million or something. But again, each time when we make an offer on this type of deal, you know what's the cost to prepare an offer? Over $5,000 legal fee. It cannot be written by a regular realtor. It cannot be written by a regular attorney. So these type of deals are very sophisticated, but these are the type of deals you got to do once in a 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. You once in a lifetime. This is a life opening. Now, just gonna go back to the deal in Edmonton. We had to go through the process through a court. So it was during I believe it was during the COVID season, if I'm correct. And we wanted to be in the part of the court, and the judge wanted to know who are these buyers are. And there was a one particular word we use a lot. If you're writing it down, please write it down. Is worth, I mean, price of gold, or whatever you want to call it. It's a big word. Most of you understand the word called FMV. Leonard, Randy, or even Rick Rose, what does FMV stand for? Rick?
Got
Leonard?
me.
What does FME stand for? FMV, what does it stand for? Most of you will relate the word FMV as fair market value. Is that correct? Okay, you are on mute, right? Unmute yourself.
Fair market value.
Fair market value. But we utilize this word differently in the courts. And the word we used, please write it down if you want to write down, is called forced market value. Forced market value. Now that's a clicker. The judge looked into it, said, listen, this piece of property is worth 6 million. Why should I be selling for 1.4 or 1.1 million? Just to be fair. And then we have to make a case in such a manner that, sir, this is a forced market value. This is not a regular sale. This is not a regular piece of property. Again, the experience, the knowledge, the coaching, all these things play a key role. Did we get the deal? Yes, we got the deal. But the question is, can you get these type of deals? Yes, you can. That's why it's important for most of investors to work with experienced realtors, investors, do a lot of joint ventures, become a member of the network if you're not a member yet, because one little golden nugget can change everything. And doesn't matter what you do. For example, Rick Rose, we did one deal with him, not knowingly, and it was flipping the flip. And it's so important right now in this market that there are a lot of investors looking for a bargain properties. There are a lot of them out there. If it's not your deal, you can do somebody else's deal. And that's extremely important for you to do that. So we're gonna say something else. One of the greatest opportunities exists right now across Canada, in my opinion. Again, it's my opinion only. It may have zero value to anybody. It's strictly my opinion. If you want to turn into a conversion. If you're a single family home, your backyard, if you can put a garden suite, go for it. Check the cost. As a matter of fact, somebody have reached me a couple of days ago that they got pre-approval, pre-built garden suites, which can be done within 3 months' time. And the cost of putting those garden suite will give you tremendous amount of cash flow, and you might be able to live in your own house absolutely free. So look into that. As long as you can increase your cash flow in this market, you're not running negative cash flow, you're doing good. If you already own a home, you don't want to buy another one, don't worry, add some value to it. I want to wrap up tonight. I want to say thank you to everybody tonight. Thank you so much. It's almost 8 o'clock. Well, I'll see you in December. Our meetings are held every second Tuesday of the month. Sincerely want to thank everybody tonight, and we look forward to see you next time. Take care. And don't forget, please get your membership. Take care and God bless. Bye for now.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Rick.
Thank you. Good
Bye,
night.
Randy. Bye,
Good
Joe.
night.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye for now.